Many people believe that growing older brings wisdom and respect. However, for some, age can lead to discrimination, a big problem in today's society. This issue of age discrimination often affects our grandparents and elderly people, making life harder for them. Historically, age discrimination has roots in a belief that younger people are better workers. Over time, companies and society have favored younger workers for their energy and fresh ideas. In the workforce, age discrimination means that older workers find it hard to get jobs or promotions. Employers might think that older people are not as skilled with new technologies or may not fit well in a team with younger workers. Unfortunately, these beliefs are often not true. Many older workers are experienced and loyal. They can contribute much to their workplaces. Moreover, age discrimination impacts not only jobs, but also access to health care and social activities. Grandparents may feel lonely if their contributions are not recognized. A personal story that many can relate to is that of Mr. Johnson, a retired teacher who wants to volunteer at the local school. Although he has a lot to offer, the school leaders are hesitant, thinking he may not relate to today's children. Instances like this highlight the harmful views of age discrimination. This issue matters today because it affects the quality of life for many individuals and families. Struggles caused by age discrimination include unemployment, isolation, and a loss of dignity. As we learn to respect people at all ages, we create a community where everyone feels valued. By understanding these challenges, we can encourage a society that fosters inclusion and respect for our elders. As Mr. Johnson stepped into the local community center, he felt a mix of hope and anxiety. He knew the importance of sharing his knowledge and experience with younger generations. But as he watched groups of older adults sitting at tables, many looking lost in their thoughts, he felt a seed of self-doubt planting in his mind. Why would anyone want to listen to him? After all, younger voices were louder and bolder, and he couldn't help but think that his age might push him aside. This struggle was far from unique. Age discrimination affects many people, not just Mr. Johnson. Older workers often find themselves battling outdated views about their potential. In workplaces across America, managers prioritize hiring younger employees, believing they are more energetic or open to learning new techniques. Yet, what many fail to see is how experienced older adults, like Mr. Johnson, have faced challenges throughout their lives, shaping their character and abilities. They are full of stories, lessons, and insights that can greatly benefit younger workers. Countless families are impacted by these views. Take the example of Mrs. Henderson, a grandmother of 3 who wanted to start a small baking business. She had honed her skills over decades, making family recipes that everyone loved. Yet, when she approached local banks for a loan, she faced rejection. The bank managers assumed that because she was older, she wouldn't fully commit to running a business in today's fast-paced world. They did not see her dedication and love for baking. They only saw her age. This situation pushed her to doubt herself, questioning if she could truly bring her dreams to life. Long-standing beliefs further deepen this issue. In schools, when discussions about age and capability arise, younger teachers often receive more opportunities to lead important projects. Older teachers, like Mr. Johnson, may be passed over despite their years of experience. This not only limits their potential, but also disrespects the rich history they hold. The voices of older individuals often get drowned out by those who are younger. They become invisible in a society that races forward, neglecting to look back at the wisdom gathered over time. Even on personal levels, family dynamics can shift because of age discrimination. When children or grandchildren start to believe that older family members can't keep up, they may stop seeking their advice or including them in decision-making. This exclusion hurts both sides. Grandparents like Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Henderson feel increasingly isolated, their self-worth diminishing, while younger generations miss out on valuable guidance. All across communities, Shared social spaces, like parks or libraries, often see age discrimination manifesting in other forms. Older adults often find it hard to connect or engage in activities, pushed aside for events thought to be for youth. Community events tend to focus on the younger crowd, unintentionally excluding their older neighbors. This exclusion can deepen feelings of loneliness and despair, as many seniors crave connection and participation. The rising action effortlessly shows how these stories unfold in daily life, drawing a complex picture that affects so many. They serve as reminders that each age group possesses its own strengths and wisdom, and by working together, society can become more inclusive and supportive. Mr. Johnson, like many others, holds more than just experience. He has a treasure trove of stories and lessons. The challenge lies in changing the perceptions that limit both his potential and that of countless others. Through their struggles, they may just find the strength to rise above the obstacles and prove that wisdom truly knows no age. As Mr. Johnson began to gain a little confidence, he realized he wasn't alone in his struggles against age discrimination. Everyday obstacles surrounded him, and many of these challenges came from the larger systems in place. Economic pressures often compel companies to hire younger workers, who are sometimes viewed as less costly employees when it comes to healthcare and salaries. Politically, age discrimination rarely makes headlines, which can leave older workers without the support they desperately need. Despite these resistances, there was a growing movement to change how society treats older adults. Organizations dedicated to advocacy and education, like the Elder Connection Group, were stepping up. This group focused on raising awareness of the skills and talents that older workers possess. They spent time working on initiatives to prove that older individuals bring value to businesses and communities. Their efforts caught the attention of local leaders and experts who supported the cause. One such expert was Dr. Emily Sanchez, a professor of sociology who studied age relations in the workplace. She spoke passionately about the strengths of older adults. Dr. Sanchez reached out to communities, helping bridge connections between younger and older generations. She suggested simple changes that businesses could adopt, such as offering mentoring programs where older workers could share their knowledge with younger employees. This kind of partnership not only fosters collaboration, but also allows companies to see the value of the experience, as it opens doors to open dialogue. Dr. Sanchez's insights carried weight and resonated with many people who heard her speak at community forums. "Every age group has something to offer," she would often say. "Continuing to push aside the wisdom of older adults costs us all." Her hopeful and supportive messages were particularly encouraging to individuals like Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Henderson, who began to feel that their voices could make a difference. However, some skeptics remained. People often viewed societal change as slow and complicated. Many in the corporate world hesitated to invest resources in training programs for older workers, fearing that the effort might not be worth it. Yet, surveys revealed that businesses that embraced older workers experienced lower turnover rates and increased job satisfaction among their staff. Even with this knowledge, resistance to change remained strong. Some community members felt unsure about how older citizens would fit into their youth-driven spaces. Questions arose. Are older adults too set in their ways? But solutions continued to emerge. Community discussions hosted by the Elder Connection Group brought together young and old, allowing them to share experiences. Mr. Johnson joined one of these discussions, where he spoke about his dreams of volunteering and connecting with youth. His story inspired others, including an enthusiastic group of high school students eager to learn from his wisdom. Small victories began to arise. Families began to reconnect as they started seeking advice from their grandparents, breaking down previous barriers of age-related stigma. On social media, movements formed around celebrating older individuals, sharing their stories and contributions. People began posting memories with their grandparents, which brought forth a wave of positivity and support. the local community grew warmer and more accepting. Through these discussions with experts and collaborations between young and old, hearts began to change. Eager listeners inspired one another in brainstorming intentional projects that would celebrate all ages. Things were not perfect, but Mr. Johnson and his friends saw that real change was possible. The road ahead still had bumps, but each small win built their confidence. They came to understand that it was not just about individual stories, but creating a movement that genuinely appreciated the worth of every generation. Together, they paved the way for greater understanding and respect. As Mr. Johnson continued sharing his story, a big challenge began to shape the landscape of age discrimination. Despite the early progress made by community efforts, a significant setback loomed on the horizon. A large company, known for its innovative ideas, announced plans to lay off many of its older employees. The news was shocking. These layoffs were explained as necessary for the company to remain competitive, but it raised a profound alarm throughout the community and intensified discussions around age discrimination. Many of the affected workers were beloved by their colleagues and had dedicated years to the company. Friends and family understood the impact of this decision beyond just losing a job. It was also about dignity and respect. The announcement quickly spread through local news, grabbing the attention of city officials and community leaders. Mr. Johnson felt a surge of urgency. This could not only affect his friends, but could echo a terrible message about the value of older workers everywhere. As the news broke, outrage rippled through the community. Activists rallied in front of the company's headquarters. Dressed in shirts that read, "Respect your elders," protesters stood together, holding signs that demanded better treatment for older workers. They called for the company to rethink its decision, reminding the world that experience matters. The protest grew in strength, rallying support across various social media platforms. Public awareness began to build momentum around the issue of age discrimination. People shared experiences of their loved ones who faced similar challenges. Videos and posts highlighting stories of these affected workers spread like wildfire. They highlighted the struggle, expertise, and real human stories of people like Mr. Johnson and Mrs. Henderson, who desperately wanted to work and contribute but felt shut out. The media took notice, broadcasting the rallies alongside interviews with workers who were laid off. Many news articles showcased the economic benefits of keeping older employees around. Writers pointed out that these workers bring reliability, mentorship, and deep knowledge that younger teams could learn from. The echo of support rallied around the idea that job diversity, including age diversity, is vital for company health. This reporting began to change the narrative, sparking conversation in boardrooms and homes alike. On a national level, conversations around age discrimination gained traction. Figures in politics began to weigh in, including advocates for the aging population who framed the issue in moral, ethical, and economic terms. They emphasized how age discrimination affects not only individuals, but society as a whole. This fortification of voices challenged businesses to reconsider their approaches to hiring and retaining older workers. Despite the growing support, there were still those resistant to change. Some corporate leaders insisted that the higher salaries of older workers posed too great a financial burden. However, the stories shared by activists and support from the media began to prove the fallacies behind these claims. As public sentiment shifted, younger generations joined the protests. They expressed their views on social platforms, sending messages of solidarity and encouraging openness regarding ageism with their own families and friendship groups. While Mr. Johnson's heart raced with the energy of the movements unfolding around him, he also felt anxious about what came next. The rallies, news coverage, and countless voices rally for change, all building toward a climactic moment. Would the company listen? Would the voices of so many unite against their corporate decisions? Doubts filled his mind, but he also recognized a fire of hope igniting within them all. This was an emotional moment of potential transformation for Mr. Johnson. He sensed change was on the horizon, but it required action to take that final leap. The stories shared, the unity built, and the resolve to change would guide them. It was now or never, and the world was finally beginning to hear the cries of wisdom and respect for all ages. The day of the planned rally had arrived. As Mr. Johnson stood among the crowd, a powerful energy pulsed through the air. Tens of thousands of people gathered outside the company's headquarters, their voices united in a common cause. The tension was palpable. The company executives had issued a statement saying they would go ahead with the layoffs, ignoring the public outcry. For many, this felt like a breaking point. Deep inside, Mr. Johnson experienced a wave of emotion, a mix of fear and determination. He knew his friends, many older employees facing job loss, were counting on this moment to speak for them. As speakers took turns on the makeshift stage, sharing personal stories about the effects of age discrimination, Mr. Johnson felt himself growing bolder. Their stories echoed his own concerns, painting a vivid picture of the struggles older workers faced, including feelings of abandonment. With the crowd chanting, he stepped forward, gripping the microphone, his heart pounding in rhythm with the chants. His voice rang out clear and strong as he shared his experience, his dreams of teaching, and the value he knew older workers brought to their communities. Suddenly, the company issued a surprise response while he was speaking. Executives, steady in their resolve, projected their voices over the noise through loudspeakers, announcing that they would refuse to listen and plan to go through with the layoffs. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The palpable reality of discrimination felt heavier, almost suffocating. Anger surged, and people began shouting louder, their voices intertwining with a passionate fury to defend their loved ones. At that moment, some individuals crossed a line. Frustration led several younger supporters to push against the barricades set up by security. In the seething moment, as tension escalated, emotions boiled over when a few protesters tried to rush forward. Security responded by pushing back fiercely. The scene transformed into chaos, adding another layer of urgency. It was in this whirlwind of confusion that a young woman, across from Mr. Johnson, stepped forward. Her name was Maria, a passionate community organizer well known in their neighborhood. Amongst the chaos, she held up a sign that read, "Experience is power." She yelled for calm, offering a new perspective. "Listen, let's show them that age truly matters. It's not an obstacle but a bridge." In that moment, Mr. Johnson saw the light, that their strength lay not in chaos but in unity. As Maria encouraged the crowd to come together, voices shifted from anger to clear chants like, "Together we stand." More individuals joined her, forming a solid wall of peaceful protest. The rally transformed from chaos to movement, claiming their right to be heard and insisting on their worth. As the rally continued, the company executives finally acknowledged the scales of public opinion shifting against them. In the following days, they decided to meet with the now organized community groups, providing an opportunity for dialogue they had previously ignored. This was a major turning point. The voice of the people had captivated attention, swaying the balance of power. In the aftermath, communities across the nation echoed their support. Grassroots movements began sprouting up, dedicated to advocating against age discrimination everywhere. People realized the truth. Younger and older workers share paths of learning and collaboration that contribute richness to workplaces. Local leaders bolstered the conversation, promising to advocate for the rights of older individuals in legislative sessions. The emotional and societal consequences of that day's actions rippled throughout the community. Parents, grandparents, children, and young activists realized that change was possible when united. Mr. Johnson started mentoring younger individuals at the community center. He found a profound insight through moments of battle to prove his worth, that every day brings a choice to lift one another, regardless of age. That day, something powerful was born, a wave of hope and possibility, leading toward a more inclusive society. Awareness fueled the drive for change, binding together diverse voices, ensuring that each generation would be heard. In this inspiring realization, Mr. Johnson's heart swelled with pride, reflecting the promise of a world transformed by understanding. The dust began to settle after the rally, leaving Mr. Johnson and the community with a sense of both victory and uncertainty. As the town reflected on the events that had unfolded, conversations shifted to what lay ahead. Many were still filled with emotions, some buoyed by hope, while others carried the weight of worry about the future. The feeling of camaraderie created by the protests continued to bind them together, but that did not erase the struggles that remained. Mr. Johnson gathered with fellow community members at the local cafe to share a post-rally discussion. Cup after cup of coffee was poured as everyone recounted the day's events, seeking to understand their meaning. "For the first time, I felt powerful," Maria explained. "We came together in a way that no one expected. We took a stand." A cheer of agreement surged through the small group, their spirits lifted by the realization of their collective strength. Yet, they also acknowledged the hard work still ahead. Many of the older adults shared their downsides to swift change. Some were still nervous that the company would fire them once the noise faded away. Mr. Johnson held their hands and reminded them, "We have changed their narrative. They can no longer ignore us." While the worries remained, there was a new energy in the air, and it sparked conversations about ongoing initiatives. As discussions flowed from person to person, Mr. Johnson suggested they become more organized. "We need to keep the momentum going," he said. This collective resolve began to crystallize into action. They established a committee dedicated to standing up for older workers. Their first step would be to create a resource group offering support for both older and younger generations to learn from each other. Working together seemed like the best way to chip away at age discrimination. Outside the community, the aftermath of the rally influenced conversations in influential spaces as well. As local media covered the protests, stories of many resilient older individuals caught the eye of lawmakers. Recognizing the public outcry, several government officials began drafting proposals aimed at abolishing age discrimination in hiring practices. The lessons from the community echoed through halls of power. Older workers deserved to be valued and given equal opportunities. Yet challenges loomed large. Some corporate leaders resisted changes, fearing that laws enforcing equality for older workers could strain budgets. At meetings when debates surfaced, the stories of older workers kept resurfacing. Local business people began to recognize that making changes could benefit all age groups. They understood that older employees brought experience and perspective, which made a difference in productivity and harmony. Embracing these shifts, new solutions were on the horizon. Several businesses stepped up and initiated intergenerational programs, allowing younger employees to partner with older workers. These initiatives provided mentoring and opportunities for growth for everyone involved. Businesses that embraced this structured collaboration saw an increase in morale within teams and, importantly, less turnover. In reflecting upon this moment, characters like Mr. Johnson realized that the journey was just beginning. While they celebrated their efforts, they also recognized that age discrimination would not disappear entirely overnight. It took patience and commitment. Healing a society steeped in bias requires continuous action, steady voices, and collective spirit. The ultimate impact of this turning point was clear. They had stirred a conversation not just within their community, but also beyond. By creating a wave of awareness and advocating for one another, they challenged long-standing attitudes surrounding age. Respect, compassion, and collaboration stood center stage, allowing room for new possibilities. As Mr. Johnson looked into the hopeful faces around the table, he felt certain they shared one undeniable truth. Everyone has a role to play in building a brighter, more inclusive future, where every voice, regardless of age, belongs. As the rally faded into memory, ripples of change began to form within the community, creating shifts that echoed far beyond the initial protest. Mr. Johnson watched as various social groups started to process everything that had transpired. Individuals reflected on the strength they found together. They began forming deeper connections, fostering a sense of resolve within their organization for older workers and their rights. In workplaces where the protests reverberated, employees were reassessing their attitudes towards their senior colleagues. Younger workers, previously distant, began to reach out to older employees for guidance and support. A new cooperative spirit was born. They realized that both age groups brought valuable insights to the table. Mr. Johnson heard stories of younger employees asking experienced coworkers for their opinions on projects and allowing them to lead discussions. However, change did not come easily for everyone. Many companies wrestled with how to implement new policies regarding age discrimination without destabilizing their workflows. Internal meetings began to pop up as leaders gathered to discuss strategies moving forward. Some business executives initially hesitated, fearing the fallout from the protest. Although they recognized public sentiment was shifting, they feared losing profits if compliance became costly. Yet, there was also a realization that boosting morale by keeping seasoned workers could ultimately benefit their bottom line. Meanwhile, the local government made strides to turn the momentum from the protest into action. Within weeks of the rally, leaders encouraged plans for new legislation to protect older workers from discrimination. They organized forums, inviting the very families impacted by age discrimination to share their experiences. This dialogue highlighted specific local needs that needed to address lingering problems. Lawmakers met with community leaders and businesses, aiming to foster understanding about the importance of inclusiveness. These discussions gradually layered into a grand initiative dubbed Wisdom Through Age, a program advocating the celebration and integration of older workers into society. Local schools began to collaborate with senior centers for intergenerational educational programs. The idea was to bridge the gap between the younger and older generations, so each could learn from the other. In nearby neighborhoods, teams of volunteers formed to offer hands-on tech lessons for older adults, empowering them to navigate the digital world that had once felt overwhelming. Community centers buzzed with new life, transforming into spaces where creativity and knowledge intersected. Mr. Johnson found himself facilitating workshops where he shared lifelong lessons with eager children, breathing his passion for history into their young minds. This was proving to be not just a moment of reflection, but an ongoing movement of sharing and learning. Yet, there were still challenges that loomed large. Not all individuals were convinced that true equality could be achieved overnight. Some older workers still faced lingering biases as they returned to their jobs or looked for new opportunities. Signs of discontent remained in quiet corners. Those uncertainties whispered that true change required continuous commitment. Still, beneath the challenges, the spirit of resilience blossomed. Community members, inspired by what had happened, dedicated themselves to keep advocating. An older woman, Mrs. Baker, bravely stepped into her neighborhood's council, bringing forth her experiences and true arguments against ageism. She reminded everyone, "Our age holds stories, not limits." Through collective determination and newly forged connections, people sought to navigate the aftermath of challenges while confronting their feelings for the future. They learned that moving forward required action, small and large, that involved each person, company, and government. The initial rally transformed into a rallying cry for an ongoing transformation that sought not only to confront age discrimination, but to redefine the ways society values its elders. Together, they stood as architects of change, crafting a future where everyone, irrespective of age, found their rightful place. As time passed, the waves of change began to subtly reshape society and the economy. Mr. Johnson observed these lasting effects as they unfolded around him. There was a growing awareness within communities about the value of older individuals. People were starting to view age not as a disadvantage, but as a great asset filled with experience and wisdom. Businesses that previously turned their backs on older employees were beginning to change their tune. Many companies realized that hiring older workers brought diversity to the workplace. These employees had a wealth of knowledge and practical experience that invigorated innovation. Companies showcased their commitment to age-inclusive hiring practices through new marketing campaigns, highlighting testimonials from older employees who were thriving in their roles. As a result, the workforce became more balanced, blending youthful energy with seasoned professionalism. In the immediate community, the local government rolled out new policies aimed at protecting older workers from discrimination. Special committees began to meet regularly, ensuring that the voices of older adults would be heard in discussions about jobs, healthcare, and social services. Under this dedicated focus, senior centers offered workshops on networking and application processes, helping older individuals regain confidence in their job searching. This empowered many to re-enter the workforce, embrace new roles, and uplift their spirits. Yet, adapting to this new situation did not come without its challenges. While some businesses became champions of age diversity, others continued to struggle with breaking free from traditional mindsets. Debates arose regarding how to balance operational costs with the integration of older workers. Additionally, some younger employees expressed concerns about mentorship roles, feeling overlooked or questioned in their abilities. Recognizing these tensions, community leaders began to create programs that paired older and younger workers in mentorship roles, reaffirming the importance of collaboration. Amidst these discussions, new issues emerged as well. While older workers were finding jobs, people started worrying about younger generations' access to opportunities. Young graduates felt squeezed out of roles they had trained for because older candidates often had the advantage of experience. Intergenerational forums began fostering dialogue around this problem, highlighting perspectives from both sides. Mr. Johnson facilitated several sessions, encouraging cooperation and emphasizing that each age group has unique strengths to bring to the workforce. The goal shifted to creating environments where all could thrive together. Families observed these changes through personal dynamics too. Children were witnessing their grandparents thrive, thanks to newfound opportunities. This shifted the relationships between generations as older family members resumed active roles in their communities, with younger relatives going to grandparents for advice on balancing life and career. These connections rejuvenated family bonds and brought a sense of pride. Despite the changes achieved, it became clear that more work lay ahead to eradicate deep-seated biases regarding age across society. Some organizations continue to seek ways to close the gap between generations. There were calls for policies that offered incentives to companies that encouraged intergenerational collaboration, creating awareness campaigns that could further bridge the divide. Through these adaptations and ongoing conversations, Mr. Johnson recognized a broader lesson that emerged: unity is vital. By integrating diverse perspectives and embracing each age's strengths, communities foster healthier environments. Norms began to shift, reinforcing the idea that every individual, regardless of age, contributes to the fabric of society. The journey saw implications that extended beyond age discrimination. It nurtured a spirit of respect for all aspects of life experience. Mr. Johnson smiled as he thought about the path people had traveled. As the conversation continued, he held fast to the hope that together they could work steadily toward a society where everyone, young and old, would have a rightful place, ensuring brighter futures for all generations. As the dust settled from the changes that had rippled through the community, Mr. Johnson stood at a new crossroads in his life. The days had turned into months since the rally that sparked transformation, and the seeds of unity had taken root. With each passing day, older workers found themselves represented, their voices echoing louder in the workplaces across the city. Mr. Johnson felt a warmth in his heart, recognizing the progress made, yet aware that many challenges still lay ahead. Long-term solutions began forming in various aspects of society. Education on ageism became a priority in local schools and organizations. Awareness programs were introduced, focusing on the advantages of a diverse workforce and the importance of collaboration between generations. Workshops and seminars highlighted success stories of older employees thriving alongside younger workers. By nurturing these conversations, communities planted resilience against stereotypes and open corridors for understanding. Moreover, new policies were actively shaping workplaces as businesses adapted their structures. Companies actively began implementing programs that encouraged intergenerational teamwork. Mentorship opportunities flourished, allowing older employees to share their wisdom while guiding younger colleagues in both work and life matters. This collaboration yielded remarkable results, as teams thrived on combining experience and fresh perspectives. Mr. Johnson saw firsthand how these initiatives created workplace environments that embraced innovation while honoring tradition. The local government also took proactive measures, forming coalitions aimed at sustaining age-friendly policies. Legislation pushed for hiring practices to remain fair and open, advocating for equal participation from all. Public dialogues were established to continue discussions not just about ageism, but about additional layers of discrimination. This dialogue encouraged community engagement and highlighted the importance of inclusivity in a continually diversifying society. Reflecting on these changes, Mr. Johnson embraced a new perspective, trusting that, by addressing root causes, the likelihood of age discrimination reoccurring would lessen. Knowledge truly carried power, and spreading the lessons learned helped fortify a foundation that uplifted every age. Community health and support were influenced positively as a result. However, the journey pointed to deeper realizations as well. People began understanding how interconnected experiences bind generations together, revealing a shared purpose. This interconnectedness broadened the societal mindset regarding economic policies. No longer were policymakers focusing solely on profit margins or trends favoring youth. They sought solutions that nurtured all identities, ensuring stability. Individually, citizens recognized their responsibilities as catalysts for change. Mr. Johnson noticed the profound shifts occurring within families, enlightening relationships between parents, grandparents, and children. They began having deeper conversations, understanding that growth flourished when voices were welcomed and ideas exchanged openly. Everyone, no matter their age, held significance in these discussions. With knowledge gained and efforts combined, the impact extended beyond workplaces and neighborhoods. Individuals became more committed to service, leading community initiatives and advocating for continuous support toward older citizens. From the school board to corporate meetings, diverse voices now engaged in shaping policies that reflected true inclusivity and respect. As Mr. Johnson gazed into the future, he felt a sense of hope. Though challenges remained and some areas required more work, a brighter path lay ahead for the generations to embrace. Each day invited a renewed understanding that society is richer when every member contributes, when wisdom and innovation dance together. In this atmosphere, ripe with opportunity, barriers cracked. Communities began experimenting with new ideas, developing cooperative programs that bridge the divide, enrich the lives of seniors, and invigorate the ambitions of younger generations. In those moments of connection, the core truth resonated deeply. When people collaborated, minds transformed, and aspirations materialized, the world became more vibrant and worthy for all. Mr. Johnson smiled, knowing that the journey they had taken sparked possibilities, weaving a legacy of change for a hopeful future.